In today's YouTube video, I'm talking about 3 misconceptions when it comes to crocheting beautiful clothes. Yes, these are 3 lies most crocheters believe when it comes to crocheting clothes. I'm going to be telling you those lies and I'm going to be telling you what the actual truth is. Okay, so sit back, relax. If you've always wanted to be able to crochet clothes, you definitely want to watch this video because you want to know if you are guilty of believing any of the lies I'm going to talk about in this video. If this is your first time seeing my face, my name is Kalthar. I'm Nigeria's crochet queen, and on this channel, I share all about crocheting. Again, today we're talking about 3 misconceptions when it comes to crocheting beautiful clothes. So let's begin. You guys, the first misconception that I totally need to talk about, the first misconception is thinking that people that crochet beautiful clothes use a specific kind of yarn. Like, I mean, when I started posting my crochet clothes on Instagram, one of the questions I got asked so many times was, Kauthar, what yarn do you use? Because I'm a crocheter from Lagos, Nigeria. I use yarn that is made here in Nigeria because that is what is easily accessible to me. That is what I grew up learning how to crochet with. And I mean, whenever I just go to the market to buy yarn, that is the yarn they have. So that is the yarn I use. But most of the crocheters that used to reach out to me back then, even though they were from Nigeria as well, they live in Nigeria, they'll still ask me what yarn I use. I just tell them I use Yeye. Yeye is the name of the brand. Most of them don't believe. They're like, but that's the yarn I used to, and my pieces don't come out as nice as yours. Some of them even go as far as saying I'm gatekeeping the information, that I don't want to tell them what yarn I use. And I'm like, I don't understand. So the first misconception is that people think that to crochet beautiful clothes, you need a specific kind of yarn. And that is a big lie, a very big lie, because I've been crocheting clothes now since 2017 actually. I've been crocheting clothes since 2017. I've made so many beautiful crochet clothing. Some of you are following me here because you've seen some of the crochet clothes I've made, and I can tell you that 97% of the crochet clothes I've made, 97% of the crochet clothes you see me wear are made with yarn readily available in my country. I do not work with imported yarn because it is not always readily available. Okay, so regardless, even if you are watching this video from another country, I'm sure you have yarn in your country, and whatever yarn is available to you, you can use it to crochet. Now, let me talk about the fact that there are different kinds of yarn. Okay, yes, there are different kinds of yarn. There are yarns made with different fibers. There are different thicknesses of yarn. But again, you can use any of those yarns to crochet. Whether the yarn is a thin yarn, is a thick yarn, you can use it to crochet clothes. The only thing is that if you use a thin yarn to crochet, your piece is going to be lightweight, because the yarn is thin. And if you use a thick yarn to crochet, your piece will be chunky because the yarn you have used is thick. What I'm trying to say is that the yarn you use will not affect the beauty of your piece. However, the yarn you use would affect the feel of the piece. How does the piece feel when worn? I mean, if you use cotton, it's going to be more breathable than if you use acrylic, for example, because cotton is breathable, whereas acrylic is not as breathable. So the yarn you use would affect the feel, the texture of your finished piece, but the yarn would not affect the beauty. Okay, and I'm going to show you actual practical things now. This dress I'm wearing right now, this is the sport dress. Here is the dress made with an acrylic yarn, and here is the same dress made with a cotton yarn. And aside the fact that the fibers of the two yarns are different, the weight of the yarns are different. So for that cotton yarn, it's a thinner yarn than the acrylic yarn. But when you look at the two dresses, they both look beautiful, but when I'm wearing it, this orange one, which is what I'm wearing in the video, it feels a bit heavier than the one made with cotton yarn, because cotton is lighter, especially because the specific cotton yarn I used has a thinner strand compared to the yarn I used for this orange dress. Again, get my point. Your yarn will not affect the beauty of your finished crochet piece, but your yarn would affect how the piece feels. Do you get me? So if you've been of the opinion that, people that crochet beautiful clothes use a special type of yarn that you don't have access to, today should be the end. Like, today should be the last day that you have that thought. And to further prove my point, I'm actually hosting a 7 days challenge, crochet a dress in 7 days, where I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this actual sport dress, and I'm going to be teaching people from all over the world. So regardless of the yarn you have available to you, I'm going to be teaching you how to crochet this sport dress in just 7 days. And at the end of the 7 days, you would have your sport dress ready that you're going to be so proud to wear. Definitely join the challenge. Click the link in the description box below to join us. We're going to begin on the 1st of September, and you don't want to miss it. It is just $2 to join the challenge, 1,000 naira only. You have no excuse not to join, especially if you've always wanted to crochet clothes. Now to the second misconception. The second misconception or the second lie is thinking. I don't know how you just think or assume that you can make a crochet cloth that would fit well without measurements. I don't know. Every time I hear it, I try to understand it, but I don't understand it. You can't make a crochet cloth fit if you don't have the measurements of the person. It is impossible. Let me tell you, there is no way it would work, because you don't even know whether what you're making is too big. You don't know if it is too small, because you don't know what the person's measurements is. So you have nothing to compare what you're doing to. If you don't have measurements, just abort the mission. However, there are different ways of getting people's measurements. Number one, let me say, whenever I feel like crocheting a piece of clothing, I always make it for myself, because I can take my own measurements as I crochet. I mean, I'm the one doing the work, you know. So yeah, there's that. But if you have to crochet clothing for somebody, and for some, I don't know, and they say maybe they don't know their measurements, there are some ways you can go about it. You can send them a tape measure. If location is not so much of a barrier, send them a tape measure, get on a video call with them and explain to them, show them how to take the measurements, and you note down the measurements so that you can work with that. You can have them send down their piece of clothing, so you measure that piece of clothing to get their measurements, or you ask them what size they wear. I mean, all women, we all know our sizes. If they want to buy clothes, they are definitely not going to just say, oh, just bring anyone. They would ask for a particular size. So ask them what size they wear. Then you can go on the internet to look for the measurements for that size. Those are ways to get measurements, but you need measurements. And I've heard Crochet say to me that, oh, the measurement is my problem. I don't know how to go about it, which is why in this 7 days challenge, we're going to be starting with measurements. You cannot talk about crocheting clothes without talking about measurements. Clothes measurements, they are 5 and 6, you know. So if you're one of those who struggle with measurements when it comes to crocheting clothes, definitely join the challenge. Again, it is just $2. Like, no reason for you to not join. I'm going to talk about how to take measurements, and I'm also going to be teaching you how to make sure your crochet clothes is the exact measurements that you want it to be, because those are two phases of measurement. You want to make sure that you have the correct measurements in the first place to work with. Then you now want to make sure that your crochet fabric is the exact measurements that you want it to be, and we're going to be learning all of this in class. The third misconception is hook size. And the reason why I put together these 3 misconceptions based off of what I hear crocheters say to me, because I've been in the community of crocheters for a long time. I personally have my own community. I have crocheters that I've taught. I have crocheters who just follow me on Instagram. So I hear what they're saying. I see the questions they're asking me. I see the questions they're asking their peers. Like, somebody will just post a picture of a piece they just made and be like, oh, I just made this beautiful piece. You know, what do you guys think? And somebody will be asking, what yarn did you use? What hook size did you use? You know, the hook size doesn't really matter when it comes to the beauty of the piece. And to further demonstrate this point, I'm going to put 2 pictures on the screen now, because I like to experiment myself so that I'm able to talk with confidence. Now, these are pictures of the patchwork cardigan. This brown patchwork cardigan, I made it with a 6mm hook. This multicolor patchwork cardigan, I made it with a 4mm hook. They both look beautiful. If you prefer one cardigan to the other, it's probably because of the colors. You know, some of you might not even be able to tell that the hook size used was different. So the hook size will not affect the beauty. Like, you can use any hook size. The things that would inform your decision on what hook size to use, like the size, the drape you want for the finished piece. If you use a bigger hook, the piece is going to have more drape. Drape meaning it will flow around more than if you use a smaller hook. So you might not be able to tell in this cardigan, because the brown one is a cropped cardigan. But if that brown one was long, you'll notice that it is more flowy than this multicolor one, and that's because again I use the bigger hook for the brown one, a 6 mm hook, and I use the smaller hook, a 4 mm hook, for the multicolor one. Again, the bigger the hook, the more flowy your piece will be. So if you want a flowy piece, definitely use a big hook. Use the biggest hook that can work with the yarn. But if you don't want a flowy piece, because sometimes you just want the piece to be firm on your body, you don't want it to be flowy, you want it to be compact, then you use a smaller hook. The drape you want for the piece will determine what hook size you use, not the beauty. Again, if you like, use 2 mm hook. If you like, if I'm going to use this spot dress again as an example, this orange one I use the 4 mm hook, and this blue top version I use the 3 mm hook. They are both beautiful, right? You will bear me witness, but they feel different, you know. So the yarn and the hook size you use would affect the feel of the finished piece, but not the beauty. If you're guilty of believing any of these 3 points, I hope that after watching this video, you realize now that you're just telling yourself lies, you know, to hold yourself back. And I'm giving you permission now to use any hook and any yarn you have available to you to start crocheting. And yes, I also encourage you to join this 7 days challenge, because you're going to be learning a lot. The fact that it is cheap doesn't mean that it is trash. You're going to be learning a whole lot, and I can guarantee that. In fact, you're going to be finishing the challenge with your very own spot dress, and that's going to make you so proud and confident. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel down below for more crochet videos like this one, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.